Hey everyone, how's it going? Onita here. Welcome to my best disappointing and DNF books of 2023. If you're wondering if I have a worst books I've read, no, I haven't. All the books I've read have been fantastic. I've had so many 4-star reads. It was a really good reading year in 2023. Without further ado, let's just talk about the best books, shall we? Because they're the ones I'm more excited to talk about. The best books I've read. There's 34 books that I consider to be the best I've read in a very long time, that I think are so masterfully done. Like, these books are my favorite of all time, and it's part of a series. Attack on Titan, 34 books, end of series, and these are my best books I have ever read, the best series I have ever read. It's truly phenomenal. It's just fantastic. So this series follows a group of people who live behind 3-walled cities, and the outside world is dangerous. It is filled with man-eating humanoid people called Titans. And these Titans go around eating people. There are these survey corps that go outside the walls to study these Titans and find out what they can about them. They have not had a Titan attack for a very long time, the city. All of a sudden, the appearance of a Titan changes the course of these characters' lives forever. Oh my god, it's a 5-star series for me. Every volume I have read has been between 4 and 5 stars. It's truly incredible. Like, I'm a little bit scared to go too much into it because I feel like if I say more than what I'm about to say, it could spoil. So I'm going to put this down because it's very hard to hold them up. So I'm just going to hold up the first one. Well, it's fantastic. The characters are great. There's like character development, there's character growth. Part 1, I call Part 1 volumes 1 to 17, has a very different vibe than volumes 17 or 18 to 34, has another different vibe as well. The second half of the volume is more serious. Like, it's just a very serious, different tones. It's fantastic. I don't know what else to say. You feel like I would, but I'm well aware that if I were to try go any more, it could spoil. The characters, the world is very fascinating. Like, the plot twists that have happened have had like literally my jaw on the floor. Like, the minuscule details in here that if you don't pay attention and you get to the plot twist, you think, holy shit, how did I not see that happen? It's just so well thought out, and it does not feel like things were placed in there for the sake of it. For me, at least. One issue I had with the series was that the second half of the series kind of jumps around a little bit, and I really wanted it to follow like a little bit more straight lines, a little bit more straighter. It does jump around a little bit, but thinking back on it, the jumping around wasn't bad, but at the same time I kind of wish I had have, like I keep saying, I just wish I had have followed it like a little bit more narrower, a little bit more straighter than all the jumping around. I love the ending as well. There's a lot of references you can make in this fictional series and also in reality as well. If you want to get into this series, and like, I totally understand if you get into it and it's not your thing. If I'm hyping it up too much, I completely understand. If you end up getting into it and not enjoying it, if you want to watch the anime, fine. I have to still watch the anime. If you want to get into the manga, fine as well. If you are getting into the series, be careful of spoilers online. I spoiled myself pretty much for nearly just about everything. I knew how the series was going to end. I still continued on with it and still loved it. Still one of my favorite series of all time. It's just truly fantastic, phenomenal. It's truly fantastic, phenomenal, incredible. I'm obsessed with it. This series pretty much took over 2023 for me, to the point where this series is the only best thing that I have read. So, in saying that, like, I don't even have really any honorable mentions because this series took over my life and is the reason why I read so much. nothing else really beat the series for me. Like I said, I've had a lot of really good books. I've had a lot of 4-star books. This series, wrong side, this series, man, is just fantastic, and I feel like nothing I read this year could really compete with this series. And in saying that, I really don't have a lot of honorable mentions, or really any honorable mentions. Let's get into the DNF portion of this video. This one? Okay, so the first 2 books I'm going to be talking to you about briefly are going to be the soft DNFs. These are the ones that I've just put aside because I was not in the right headspace. It was not the right time for me to read these books. First one being Happy Place by Emily Henry. Got to the 35% mark of this book. I was really enjoying it. There's some parts of this book were keeping me intrigued and keeping me hooked, but I was not in the right headspace. I was not in the right mood for it either. So I just put this book aside for now, but I have hopes to get back into this book and to read it again in February. So fingers crossed, I'm hoping that will work, because I've heard that this book and Emily Henry in general also touches upon real life issues amongst friends and relationships, and her writing and her romantic relationships feel mature as well. That's just what I've heard so far from other people that have loved Emily Henry. I believe I have read another Emily Henry book, isn't it? Like People We Meet on Vacation, or You and Me on Vacation, I can't remember, because the UK title is different to the US title, so I can't remember if the UK title is, or the Australian title is People We Meet on Vacation or You and Me on Vacation. But that was the first book I read from Emily Henry, and I really enjoyed that book. Heir of Fire, the third Throne of Glass book by Sarah J. Maas. I read this book in a time where there was just a lot happening. I read this book around the time I was going on my holiday, and just that was consuming my brain a little bit more, my holiday was, and I just was not reading anything at all. I feel like this book has a bit of a slower pace as well, and it was taking me a really long time to get anywhere with this book and to make any sort of progress. But I have softly DNF'd this. I will pick it up again. I don't know when, but I'm hoping to pick it up again soon, because I read the first 2 Throne of Glass books and I really enjoyed them. And I just want to finish this series so I can move on to other books by Sarah J. Maas, because I feel like I could really like Sarah J. Maas, having read 2 Throne of Glass books and really enjoyed them. Now, for the hard DNFs, the books I will not be picking up again. These are not for me, did not gel with me. Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. I have had this book on my bookshelves for a very long time, and I thought it was about time for me to pick it up, give it a go. Like, when it comes to books I'm not really entirely feeling and I don't want to pick up again and I know I will not like it, I usually spoil the book for myself, and I don't mind doing that, especially if I know I'm not going to like it. It did not gel with me. I can't even really remember anything about this book other than there was this one scene where Eleanor went to a wax salon where she pretty much went bald eagle in the nether regions, and she was complaining to the, what are they called, the salon people, the workers there in the salon. She was saying, "You made me look like a 12-year-old girl." This character, Eleanor Oliphant, does seem like she does have autism, I believe. I'm not entirely sure. And there's nothing wrong with the character with autism. There's nothing wrong with it at all. It's just the writing and the book in general, I was not gelling with it for me. The last DNF I had in 2023 is The Whisper Network by Chandler Baker. I feel like I have read better books that explore the Me Too movement, and I was just not gelling with this book. And I heard someone say that this book is very similar or pretty much the same as, what's that Leanne Moriarty book, Big Little Lies? And I tried to read a page of that book. I could not get past the first page. I just was not a fan of these characters, was not a fan of these women, unfortunately. With a book that explores the Me Too movement, you would think you would like them in a way. I don't know, I was not a fan of the characters at all. The male character, like the male CEO that's taking over the deceased CEO, he was a jackass. He was a complete asshole. He was definitely using the women for his own personal gain. There was no doubt about it, just the way that that was written. I just felt like I've read better books that talked about the Me Too movement. Now on to the last portion of this video, which is the disappointing books of 2023. We have Saint by Adrian Young, which is the prequel to the Fable duology, and it follows the Fable's father, Saint, as he becomes this merchant trader of the Narrows. I believe that's the place, like the Narrows. It was just disappointing for me. I can't remember the star rating I gave this. The one thing that I really enjoyed about the Fable duology was Fable and her father's relationship. It was really good, their dynamic, their relationship, but unfortunately this book was just so disappointing to me. I didn't get what I thought I wanted, and I can't remember what I wanted because it's been a little while since I've read this book. It just fell flat. Like, we got little glimpses of Saint in the Fable duology, and I guess the point of this book was to see how he became who he was in the Fable duology. Just disappointing for me, and it's really sad. We Freed the Stars, which is the second book of the Sands of Arawiya duology by Hafsa Faisal, another book that really disappointed me. I just do not like YA romance at all. I really don't. The more I read YA, or really the less I read YA, I don't know. Whenever I read YA and there's romance in it, it just does not work for me. I read the first page and then the last few chapters of this book. It was just disappointing. The writing was so teeny tiny, and I thought to myself, ooh, if I buy the ebook, I can make the print large and I can hopefully get through it quickly, you know. It did not work out like that, unfortunately. It just fell flat, and it was just a slog to get through. It's really sad to say that because I really enjoyed the first one. I thought the first one was actually really good. So sad, so disappointing. The relationship between the two main characters, or the two characters, the male and female characters, like, yeah, it was annoying me in a way. Like, it was annoying, like, so much. I can't even explain it because I can't remember it because I haven't really properly read it, even though in my mind I read it because it felt like it was so freaking long. This last book I'm about to talk to you about, that is a disappointing book for me in 2023, is a real punch in the gut. It is A Soul of Ash and Blood, the fifth book in the From Blood and Ash series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Oh my god. Thank goodness there's one more book in this series, and I'm really sad to see the decline of this series. Like, I'm just so sad about it. I read the first chapter, then I read the last chapter. I feel like this series just to me it felt like things were just thrown in there, and it didn't really feel fleshed out enough for me. And it's not the repetition that annoys me. Yes, it is a bit repetitive, but I think it's just with the timeline of everything. Even oh my god, even reading the first chapter, Poppy annoyed me. I actually liked Poppy. Poppy annoyed me in this fifth book. A bit of a slog to get through as well, because even though I did fully read the first chapter, which is technically the prologue, I did try to read the other chapters as well, and then I decided I'm not going to like this at all. Then I read some spoilers and everyone had said read the last chapter. So I read the last chapter, enjoyed that a little bit more. I'm just so sad. I will read the last book in the series. I just need to know how it's going to end. I think if this series had been a dual point of view from the start, I would not have had this issue. And I feel like it would have been a lot better of a series if it had been dual point of view, because I don't think we needed Castile's point of view in a separate book. We did not need that. That's the video, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what your best, even your worst, even though I did not have a worst book, let me know what your worst books were, along with your disappointing and your DNF books of 2023. I would really like to know, and I will see you in another video. Bye for now.